The brutal murder of Mahsa, it triggered the largest protests and most continuous protests in the entire lifetime of the Islamic Republic since 1979. We have never had protests that are so widespread. They are from basically all the 31 Iranian provinces, all ethnicities, not only in Persian regions, in Baluchi, Kurdish, there are Arab minorities, there are Turkish minorities. They have all been together. And that Mahsa was a Kurdish girl. But all Iran stood up because I think many millions of Iranians identified themselves with Mahsa. And what happened to her was the last drop that made people to come out in such a huge numbers. And Iran Human Rights, that I am leading, has been monitoring the situation in Iran in the last more than 15 years. We have had several protests, but I have never seen so much anger and so much determination. So from the first day, Iranian authorities started shooting at people. With live ammunition. Iran Human Rights has confirmed more than 215 people being killed, a large number injured. 27 of those killed were children. They were like young boys and girls. Some of them are shot from close range. And still people come out. And whether they will last longer, we don't know, because on one side we have ordinary people, like from all the classes of the society, from all the backgrounds, and they are unarmed. On the other side, we have heavily armed Iranian authorities, which have shown previously that they are willing to go very far to hold on to power. And as they did also in Syria in 2011, it was Iranian Revolutionary Guards which saved Bashar Assad. So I don't think the authorities will manage to stop this movement, even if they manage to control the protests for a while, because the next opportunity, the next possibility that appears, people are out again, and they are very angry and they are very determined to put an end to 43 years of oppression by a highly incompetent and corrupt regime. So the number of people who are killed, they come from our network, Iran Human Rights. And I can say that we present the absolute minimum of what is happening in Iran, because due to restrictions in the internet, and especially because families of those who are killed, they have been under tremendous pressure. They are threatened by authorities that we know for a fact that some families have been told that if you want your other children not to suffer the same, you should keep quiet and don't talk to the media, don't talk to the rights organizations. Last week, there was something happened in one of Iran's biggest prisons, Evin prison. There was a huge crackdown of the prisoners, especially those who had been recently arrested. And maybe dozens of people have been killed, inside the prison. They are not armed. They don't pose a threat to anyone. Unfortunately, the situation of the human rights in Iran has never been on the agenda of the Western governments. You have probably seen that all the negotiations, most of the sanctions against Iran, they are based on the nuclear program. None of them have been, or very few has been, because of the human rights situation. When you see that there are young girls schoolgirls going out and standing against an oppressive regime with arms, of course, people get sympathy to these young girls. And I think it's the pressure from the public opinion in the West that is pushing their authorities to take a stronger reaction towards the Iranian authorities. But these protests, they are completely started from inside Iran, and I think they will also finish inside Iran. And whatever we do, the change should come from inside. But we also need international support. Just take an example, the apartheid system in the South Africa. It was the people in South Africa who were struggling against apartheid for many, many decades. But in the last years, finally, international community started reacting because of the public opinion. And that helped. So I think international support, it helps to reduce the human casualties. And it also sends an important message to Iranian authorities that we are watching you. You cannot do whatever you want to the people. I think the difficult economic conditions play an important role. And it's, that Iran has also been under sanctions. So what these sanctions did was to make the ongoing corruption in Iran and lack of competence among the leaders much more evident. You see, Iran is a rich country with lots of natural resources. In the years where there were no sanctions, like 2015 to 2017-18, situation of people didn't get improved, but the Revolutionary Guards, they got much bigger share of the budget. Families of the Iranian leaders, they have become much richer. Many of them live in Western countries, living in a Western lifestyle, at the same time as the morality police beats Iranian women because they are not covering their hair properly, and some of them get killed. The families of some of these leaders, they are living a Western life outside. So I think the anger comes from the fact that Iranian people say that we are suffering under the economic conditions. There are areas in Balochistan, in Iran, where we don't have schools. Children are sitting outside. At the same time, we spend billions on a nuclear program which doesn't benefit the people. The sanctions have contributed in making this corruption and lack of competence very evident. I don't think the Iranian authorities are capable of doing reforms. People want a proper change. Iranians want to live a normal life. They want their fundamental rights. And I don't think, putting some restrictions on morality police or changing slightly the dress code would make any difference. The protesters want to make the whole regime change. No, I just want to say that I think what is happening in Iran now, it's part of a larger movement worldwide. There are millions of women who are in some countries according to the law, in some countries according to the traditions, being considered as second-rank citizens. And I think that if the movement that is going on in Iran succeeds, it will have impacts way beyond Iran's borders. I think we are living in 2022, and in the 21st century, I think the world must accept that all human beings are equal and should have equal rights.